Critical race theory, CDR, C for critical, R for race, T for theory, is an academic movement of civil rights scholars and activists in the United States who seek to critically examine the law as it intersects with issues of race and to challenge mainstream liberal approaches to racial justice. Critical race theory examines social, cultural, and legal issues as they relate to race and racism. Fuck, you've repeated yourself, and that's a load of shit. Why do you have to repeat yourself? Are you fucking mentally ill, Sarah? Fuck, it's appalling. Critical race theory, CDR, is an academic movement of civil rights scholars and activists in the United States who seek to critically examine the law as it interacts with issues of race and to challenge mainstream liberal approaches to racial justice. Critical race theory examines social, cultural, and legal issues as they relate to race and racism. You're fucking Sarah. Critical race theory originated in the mid-1970s in the writings of several American legal scholars including Derek Bell, Alan Freeman, Kimberly Crenshaw, Richard Delgado, Cheryl Harris, Charles R. Lawrence III, Mari Matsuda, and Patricia J. Williams. It emerged as a movement by the 1980s, reworking theories of critical legal studies, CLS, C for critical, L for legal, S for studies, with more focus on race. Both critical race theory and critical legal studies are rooted in critical theory, which argues that social problems are influenced and created by societal structures and cultural assumptions, than by individual and psychological factors. Critical race theory is loosely unified by two common themes. First, that white supremacy, with its societal or structural racism, exists and maintains power through the law. And second, that transforming the relationship between law and racial power, and also achieving racial emancipation and anti-subordination more broadly, is possible. Opponents of critical race theory argue that it relies on social constructionism, elevates storytelling over evidence and reason, rejects the concepts of truth and merit, and opposes liberalism. As of June 2021, 8 US states have enacted laws banning the teaching of critical race theory, and nine others are in the process of doing so. It saddens me. Definitions. Roy L. Brooks defined critical race theory in 1994 as a collection of his critical stances against the existing legal order of a race-based point of view. Richard Delgado, a co-founder of the theory, defined it in 2017 as a collection of activists and scholars interested in studying and transforming the relationship among race, racism, and power. Richard Delgado, a co-founder of the theory, defined it in 2017 as a collection of activists and scholars interested in studying and transforming the relationship among race, racism, and power. I really need a fucking bloody coffee. History. Early analyses that later consolidated into critical race theory developed in the 1970s as legal scholars, activists, and lawyers tried to understand why civil rights era victories had stalled and were being eroded. In the early 1980s, students of colour at Harvard Law School organised protests regarding Harvard's lack of racial diversity in the curriculum among students and in the faculty. These students supported Professor Derek Bell, who left Harvard Law in 1980 and then became the dean at University of Oregon School of Law. During his time at Harvard, Bell had developed new courses that studied American law through a racial lens. Harvard students of colour wanted faculty of colour to teach the new courses in his absence. Bell resigned his position at Harvard because of what he viewed as the university's discriminatory practices. Where are we? The university ignored students The university ignored student requests, responding that no sufficiently qualified black instructor existed. Legal scholar Randall Kennedy noted that some students felt affronted by Harvard's choice to employ an archetypal white liberal in a way that precludes the development of black leadership. In response, numerous students, including Kimberly Crenshaw and Mari Matsuda, boycotted and organized to develop an alternative course using Bell's Race, Racism and American Law, 1973, first edition, as a core text. They included guest speakers Richard Delgado and Neil Gotunda. Righty fucking ho.